What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. You guys, welcome back to another edition of Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. And you guys, today is well, here, let me scroll down a bit. Today is an open spoiler discussion of Wonder Woman 1984. So if you're just tuning in, I understand the show literally just started. Today, we're just going to talk about Wonder Woman 1984, give our thoughts about it, and just kind of tear it apart. I've pulled up I've pulled up the movie on HBO Max, and while we can't show the movie live stream on Facebook, I'm gonna scrub through a little bit and kind of pick it apart a little bit. So stay tuned for that. But you guys, I have, you know what, let's just keep this up. Let's keep this graphic up because, I mean, why not? Now, some of you have been wondering, like, what's going on? Like, I haven't posted hardly any videos over the holiday season, over, like, Christmas and New Year's. A couple here and there, but, some of you have been wondering, like, what's going on with your job? Like, we know that you work as a flight attendant, but are you back? And, you know, what was up with yesterday? I posted, I did post an update video yesterday as to, like, what's going on with me a little bit, but I didn't explain why I wasn't feeling so great. So, yes, it's complicated, and it takes a while to kind of dissect and kind of break apart and whatever. But the long and the short of it is that I have been furloughed. I was furloughed. Let me explain. I was furloughed previously. I am not technically furloughed anymore. The government gave like a huge bailout to transportation services, my airline being one of them. So we got some bailout money. So now I'm back to like flying full time. But instead of having control over my schedule, I'm on call like all the time for the month of January. Hopefully February will be better. But for the month of January, I am on call. So, the reason I kind of did a video yesterday, it was more of an update video. I didn't do like a full video. I had to work a red eye from Los Angeles back to Newark, New Jersey, yesterday. And I was completely wrecked. I got home. I don't think I got home until like 9:30 in the morning, like back in my apartment here in New York. And I was just wrecked. I was completely wrecked. I had this headache that just wouldn't go away. There are fragments of it left over today, but like I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling fine. So that is also why we're getting started so late today. I slept 12 hours last night because I needed it. I needed it so bad. This show typically starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. But I needed the rest. I was hurting so bad yesterday, and in the middle of the night. And of course, at 5 o'clock in the morning, our cats decided to wake us up and say, "Hey, it's 5 o'clock. Are you awake yet? Are you awake yet?" And then the other cat vomited all over the floor. And so at 5 o'clock in the morning, had to pick that up, clean that up. So yeah, anyway, so that's what's going on with me. Videos moving forward will be a little sporadic, but I've talked enough about my personal life. Let's get into Wonder Woman 1984 before we can start talking spoilers. You guys, if you haven't done so already, please head over to youtube.com, type in Gotta Love Them Movies. You're going to see a little red button in the top right hand corner that says subscribe. Go ahead and click on that button. What clicking on that button does is it helps us to widen our subscriber base. And I understand some of you are watching this show on Facebook Live right now. But here's the thing. With the more subscribers we get, the more content gets watched on the channel. And with the more content that gets watched on the channel, I get to qualify for ad revenue. So I very much appreciate you going over and clicking on that subscribe button. And of course, you guys, as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, this show will be moving from Facebook to YouTube. So the live portion anyway. So, just something to keep on your radar there. All right, guys, now it's time for us to talk about Wonder Woman 1984 in all of its spoiler glory. Oh yeah, you guys. All right. Well, so let's start it off. I mean, yes, I am going to go over to HBO Max, and we're going to kind of scrub through the movie a little bit and kind of pick it apart a little bit piece by piece. But before I do, I kind of want to give some thoughts. The first film is far superior. I do take my issues with the ending, and let me talk about the ending of the first Wonder Woman for a second. Throughout the whole film, not the whole film, but a good portion of the movie, of the first film, there becomes this whole concept of specifically Ares, but it deals more in kind of like the idea of faith. What is faith? How does faith work? What do we have faith in? That kind of stuff, right? And Steve Trevor doesn't believe in the existence of Ares, even though he's stumbled upon Themyscira, he stumbled upon Wonder Woman and all the Amazonians, and like this whole kind of idea of like magic and like superpower. Like this is a completely bonkers concept to him, but he's seeing it, but seeing doesn't necessarily mean believing, right? So Wonder Woman herself, Diana Prince, she's kind of latching onto this idea of Ares, and he's the god of war, and he's the cause of so much evil and torment in the world. And then in the last act of the movie, in the third act of the movie, they kind of break the... Just before the third act of the movie starts, there's this conversation between Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, and the love of her life, Steve Trevor. Where did I put them? Oh, they're up there. And Steve Trevor kind of tells her, and I'm going to paraphrase, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Ares exists or not. It doesn't matter because evil is out there. War is happening. So whether he's a real entity or whether it's just this idea or a concept of evil, we still need to do the right thing. And I feel like the stronger ending of the first Wonder Woman film would have been to not have the physical embodiment of Ares come alive and to have this epic showdown battle. I feel like you could have had an epic showdown battle with the Germans, or not necessarily with the Germans, but with kind of like, that woman with like the half thing over her face, who's like the mad scientist or whatever, or like some of the other evil characters that were in the film. I feel like you could have done an epic showdown between them and leave the physical embodiment of Ares out of the movie. Doing that would have played into the concept of faith. It would have played into this idea that whatever evil is out there, we need to rise above it. It doesn't matter if it's a physical embodiment or not. And they could have teased, the physical embodiment of Ares at the very end, maybe as a post-credit scene, but having a physical embodiment of Ares, and like this epic showdown battle, whatever, I think that definitely distracted from the movie a little bit. All in all, it's still a great movie. I love it. It's fun, and there's tons of character development. Now let's fast forward to Wonder Woman 1984, and let's just say that this is an open spoiler discussion. If you haven't seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet, yes, it's only been a week and a half since it came out. In the UK, it came out, I think it was 3.5 weeks ago, something like that. So if you haven't seen it, it's still available on HBO Max for like another 2 weeks or something before it goes away, until it comes out on VOD, right? Okay, so this film is nowhere near as superior. It's not on the same level as the first Wonder Woman. It's just not. There's no character development at all for Diana Prince. It starts with her after we get into the movie a little bit, and it takes a while. I think Patty Jenkins said that there are 2 different openings for this movie. There's 2 different openings. There's the opening here. Let's just go down to let's just do this real quick, shall we? So there's the opening, this opening. There's this whole sequence where like all the Amazonians are battling. It's kind of like this Olympic kind of thing, right? And this sequence was really cool, you guys. This sequence was awesome. I had a lot of fun with this. And watching this in the theaters, because, you know, if you watch a previous review of mine of when Kim and I went back to the theaters a week and a half ago on Christmas Day to go see this movie, watching this sequence, because here's the thing, the opening of your movie sets the tone for the rest of the film. It says this is what you can expect. And if this is the level where we're at, it's only going to go up from here, right? That's what the opening of your film should do. It excites you. It gets you on board with it. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be so cool. This is going to be so awesome. And you guys, it wasn't there. I'm sorry. The rest of the movie wasn't there. So after this whole opening sequence, and there's kind of like this whole learning lesson for Diana of like, hey, listen, like when your horse runs away and you have to circumvent the problem, and oh, hey, look, there's this whole thing. You can get to where you need to go if you just like bend the rules and break the rules a little bit. And then, you know, as the opening kind of continues, and we come to find out, she's like, oh, that's not fair. Oh, somebody else won. Yay, hooray. Somebody else took this tournament, right? So, of course, Diana has to learn this idea that if you want to succeed in the world, you have to play fairly. You have to play fairly. And life isn't always fair. First of all, life isn't always fair. And two, if you want to do what's right, if you want to do things the right way, you need to play by the rules. This is the opening moral for the entire movie. And they never come back and revisit this. It doesn't, it's meaning. I'm not going to say it's meaningless, because in the moment it has meaning. But as the movie goes on, they don't ever reference this again. It doesn't, this opening sequence has no significance to the story of the rest of the film. So it's quite disappointing in that regard. And then, we fast forward, we get to see Wonder Woman do her whole 80s mall thing. There's like this whole kind of a heist thing, and she comes into the mall and saves the day, and some of the effects are really cheesy. Some of these effects are really super cheesy, you guys. The lasso of truth is so obviously animated, and of course in the first movie it was animated as well, but the lasso of truth really gets animated in this movie. And if this whole movie was supposed to be kind of a cheese ball effect, if it was supposed to be a little bit more cheesy, okay, cool. Like, I'm on board with that idea. That could be really fun. That could be really cool. But it was really super cheesy in the second opening of the whole mall sequence. It was really super cheesy. Just look at this. Just look at that. Come on, we won't be doing that today. Come on. It's fun. It's a fun sequence. It's incredibly cliche, which again, there's nothing wrong with the movie being cliche. It just didn't sustain itself. The tone kept changing. The tone from the opening sequence in like the Olympian battle kind of thing, that was the same kind of tone from Wonder Woman, from the first Wonder Woman. And then we time jump to the 80s, and everything's like super hyper realized, and it's kind of like in your face and whatever. There's a whole bunch of comments that have been coming in so far. So let me jump into the first one, because I don't want to get buried in this. I don't want to lose the comments. Alexander Jackson, former guest on the show, says, "Hi Mike, not staying for the discussion because Wonder Woman 84 still won't be out in the UK for another couple of weeks. Happy New Year." Really? That is interesting to me. I thought it had already released in theaters. It's possible. Okay, yeah. So Matthew Wiles, who also lives in the UK, he commented on this comment and said it's out in the UK. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's in theaters. I don't think it's out on streaming yet. Somebody please fact check me on that. Let's scroll down. Wagons. Oh, Wagons. How you doing, Wagons? Wagons is commenting on the on my comments from the original first Wonder Woman. He says Ares could have been like Thanos. Interesting. He shows up after the third movie and tie him in with the Justice League. You know, that's not a bad idea. I mean, obviously, this is all kind of a hyperbolic discussion here. It kind of doesn't matter because hypothetical, because it's already happened. So whatever. But yeah, Ares kind of being. I know that they really are pushing for who has the Omega symbol? The super villain in the DC. They alluded to him in the Justice League movie. Zack Snyder is bringing him out for the Snyder Cut of the Justice League. Oh, what's his name? Oh, you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, the Thanos of what they're trying to promote. But yes, Wagons, I agree with you that Ares could have made a really cool villain. If in the third act, if they use him as more of a concept instead of like a physical being, and then tease him in the end credits of the first Wonder Woman, just to kind of be like, hey, Ares is a real person and he's not going away and he's going to be a real threat moving forward. That could have oh man. Now that you say that, and I'm thinking about this, that's getting me kind of excited, but excited for nothing because, it's not going to happen, you know? Matthew Weil says, there is zero character development. It's not even exciting. You are right, sir. Matthew, you are completely right. Wonder Woman 1984 has no character development whatsoever for Wonder Woman or Diana Prince. There's this whole thing of her, like, you know, later in the movie, because I feel like there's 10 different openings. Like, it takes so much time for it to start itself. This movie is 2.5 hours long. And to me, in all candor, it didn't feel like 2.5 hours while I was in the theater watching it. Maybe because I was just having such a great time and all of the effects and everything, like cheesy or not, it was still kind of fun to see in the theaters. But yeah, there was this whole sequence where she wishes for Steve Trevor to come back. And then he comes back and they go through this whole like realization of like, wait a second, for me to save the day, it means that I have to renounce my wish and that you go away. Like, okay, that was kind of interesting, but it didn't have any lasting consequences. What did she learn from that experience? If the lesson that she learned in the very beginning, in like the Olympian opening sequence of sometimes you have to play by the rules, you can't go around cheating. I mean, it's so, if that is in fact the lesson that Wonder Woman had to learn in her adulthood through Steve Trevor and like wishing him back into existence, it's such a loose thread. It's hard to, I don't know. They didn't do a very good job there. Matthew Weil says the first part of the tournament is never really spoken about, but slightly alluded to. It's pants. I'm not sure what you mean by it's pants. Maybe like it's just crazy, but it is crazy. It's pants, Matthew. It is pants. And yeah, it's so annoying because the opening sequence was so cool. It had great tone. It had great action. It had a great moral. It had great meaning. And the rest of the movie didn't have any of that. So that was disappointing. Wagon says the Wish Stone should have been a lost relic from Themyscira. It could have been, yeah. I mean, there's so much that they could have done with that. I didn't mind the way that they I don't mind the way that they introduced it. It was cheesy and hokey, and I understand that. And in order to have the story that they did, if they spent any more time developing the story as to where the Dreamstone came from, the movie was long enough. We didn't need it to be, just give me a quick explanation. This is what it is, and off we go. Because the movie isn't about like, ooh, where did the Dreamstone come from, right? It's there. This is how all this stuff is happening. And I don't even mind the cheesy aspect of the whole wishes coming true thing. I have seen online there have been a bunch of people kind of tearing it apart, tearing the movie apart for that aspect of, oh, it's a wish, meh, it's just a yeah thing. And hey, it is what it is. It allows us to go on this journey, go on this adventure. That's one of the conceits of the movie, and I'm okay with that. But yeah. Matthew Weil says Wonder Woman's first action is fighting a bunch of nobodies. It's just rubbish. You are correct. Both Wagons and Matthew said Darkseid. Thank you. The big villain with the Omega symbol from that was teased in I guess he was teased in Batman versus Superman, and then teased again in Justice League, the movie version, and now he's going to come out in as like the big bad of the Justice League TV show reboot movie thing. I don't know, whatever you want to. Thank you, Darkseid. Matthew says, LOL, she wishes for that guy she kind of liked several decades ago. He goes on to say, its pants is slang for rubbish. Thank you. Yeah, it is rubbish. Yeah, it's pants. I dig that. But yeah, that is kind of a weird thing of like, she wishes, I mean, what's the time jump from 1918? So World War I ended, it went from 1914 to 1918. So let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say that World War I ended, or like the movie, I can't remember what year it took place, but let's just say it was 1918, right? Didn't Wonder Woman's efforts end the war? So it's 1918, we'll say. So from 1918 to 1984, that's what, 66 years? Am I doing the math right? 66 years? Yeah. So it's 66 years later. Yeah. I mean, you and I understand, like, she's hiding. She doesn't want to be known. She doesn't want to be out in the public. She doesn't want people to know who she is, which is why she's taking her tiara and like taking out all the security cameras. But I mean, as another YouTuber had mentioned, hold on, let me jump into the browser here. If you don't want to be, if you want to be inconspicuous, why are you in a shop? Here it is. She's taking out all the cameras. Why are you out in public, dressed like a superhero? You don't want anybody to know who you are. You have this costume on. You're so obviously like saving the day. And I understand, like, this is the time and age before smartphones were a thing, before, like, the internet was, like, a big, huge, taking the world by storm kind of a thing. But, like, if you want to be incognito, be incognito. I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, like, it's 66 years later, and she's hanging on to the idea of this one guy, the one guy that she loved 66 years ago. Which, I mean, I don't want to tear that apart because, like, if he's the love of your life, if he's your one and only, cool, awesome. Like, Kim's my one and only, and I would probably pine for her for the next 66 years. I don't know, but yeah, I understand. I understand where you're going for that. It's that one guy, but then again, like the relationship that I've had with my now fiance. By the way, I got engaged. If nobody knows that, I got engaged. The relationship that I've had so far with the love of my life has been, we've been working on it for a while now, and it's awesome and it's lovely. But let's rewind to the first Wonder Woman movie. They spent a week around each other, and it was like high action, high combat, like your emotions are running high because like you're in this life or death situation. And like, again, I don't want to take away from Diana Prince's experience. It just, I don't know. It seems a little forced. You guys. Yeah, let's jump back into the movie a little bit. Let's tear this apart. This whole mall sequence was fun. It was over the top. It was silly. It was look at that. This whole sequence, like, that's silly. I mean, that whole thing's a little silly. But if that's what you're going for, then go for it, you know? Yeah, so let's jump out of the mall sequence a little bit because we can kind of tear this to shreds. Where are we now? Yeah, here, like, okay, so Wonder Woman, like, this is her kind of like at this restaurant all by herself. She's pining for the love of her life, Steve Trevor. Okay, yeah, it doesn't always add up too well. And here we get our first glimpse of Cheetah, of Barbara. Obviously the incredibly talented Kristen Wiig. I can't remember her last name, Barbara something or other. I think this was my favorite aspect of the movie. I really enjoyed seeing the transition of Kristen Wiig's character from kind of like this mousy human being into kind of like, I am not going to take anyone's crap anymore. Knockdown, drag out fights. That was kind of fun. That was kind of interesting to me. But again, the character development that they gave her, it was all based around, let me see if I can find this real quick. It was all based around the idea of, hey, it was that one random act of kindness that she did that one time where she, where is this? Is this it? Here it is. She gave food to a homeless man that one time. And this is like her one act of kindness, and this is what makes her like a compelling, compassionate character. Show me, don't tell me. And I understand, like, they're showing this one act of kindness, but I don't know. It doesn't make her transformation more meaningful to me. I liked her transformation. I would have liked to have seen more. Maybe if Wonder Woman 84 was more of a Cheetah story, that may have been more interesting to me. But I don't know. This whole sequence was fine. It just, I don't know. There just wasn't enough of it. And then we get to Pedro Pascal. I mean, like, he was kind of, teased throughout. They changed the character of Maxwell Lord ever so slightly in the movie from what he was in the comics. Now, again, full disclosure, I'm not a DC aficionado. That would be my brother. I'm more of a Marvel aficionado. DC is not exactly in my wheelhouse in terms of the deep dives and all that kind of stuff. So while I wasn't incredibly familiar with Maxwell Lord before, I became more familiar with him now. So let's jump back into the live chat. Wagon says, I have to go back to work, but I love that you are doing this. I will subscribe to your channel. Wagons, thank you so much, sir. You have probably left already, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your comments, and for your friendship. You're just an awesome guy. Matthew Weil says, she throws her tiara and smashes the cameras. Has she not realized that the footage is not kept in the cameras? Yeah, I mean, she's already, this is the trope in, like, any time that somebody takes out security footage cameras. I get it. Like, you've already been recorded for, like, what, 20 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. Oh, they popped on camera and there it is. Now they're gone. But you're still there. You're still there. Like, you can still release that 5 seconds of footage. Yeah, I mean, there's a huge loophole there. Matthew says, you have been with Kim for years. Wonder Woman might have had a week. Yeah, exactly. That's my point exactly. Kim and I have had a lot of time to develop our relationship and to fall in love with each other. We didn't fall in love with each other after a week. In fact, the first week that we met, the dynamic of our relationship was very different when we first met. She took my improv class. I was a teacher. She was the student. And so I kept my distance. I was like, no, I'm not going to get involved with my students. And then when she wasn't a student anymore, that's when we started kind of like, hey, maybe we had a pretty cool connection before. Let's hang out. And we started hanging out as friends, right? And it wasn't until we started hanging out as friends that's when we really started feeling a connection with each other, right? We developed a friendship in class, and then we delved into that relationship after class, like when she wasn't taking my classes anymore. And then that's when we fell in love. And it took a while, but it wasn't, love at first sight kind of a thing. And again, if you are one of those persons that is a love at first sight kind of person, congratulations. That's amazing. Very few people experience that. And if it's real and if it's true, hats off to you, because that's a very rare thing. And I'm not saying that is not the case for Wonder Woman, but it just, I don't know, it seems a bit of a stretch. Matthew says, the mall sequence was so boring, a Paul Blart could have stopped them. Yeah, Paul Blart. Oh boy, the Kevin James vehicle did that end his career? I don't know. If Kevin James has a really cool YouTube channel right now. He posts on like Facebook and Instagram as well. But Kevin James has this really cool bit where he plays kind of like the boom mic guy. Why do I have this photo up? Let's go to this one. He has this really cool series of videos where he plays kind of the boom mic operator on all these movies, and so he just interacts with the actors in the movie, and it's like go look it up. It's really funny. But yeah, Paul Blart totally could have taken those mall villains. What was the other one with Seth Rogen? Was it Observe and Report? Was that the name of it? Observe and Report with Seth Rogen, where he plays kind of like, again, like a Paul Blart kind of mall cop kind of thing. I don't know, whatever. Paul Blart, Kevin James from Mall Cop. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, where are we at? Pedro Pascal. Okay, so Pedro Pascal, his character in the movie, I get it. Like he's kind of a washed up businessman. He's almost kind of a con artist, right? I didn't mind that angle. I thought that was a pretty interesting angle, and everything that they had built up throughout the movie up until the very end, I thought was very genuine. I liked, and again, I'm not that familiar with Maxwell Lord in the comics, so I don't know how they changed the character, but I kind of liked his story from there on out, right? It kind of worked for me. The story of the relationship with his son as they were building it, I thought worked. It helped to show that he should be caring about the things that matter in life, which are his son, or things of that nature in that same vein. But he didn't, and that is interesting to me. I would have liked to have seen him lose everything. I don't know if that includes his son. That definitely would have been a much more tragic story. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. So let's continue on. Where are we at in our movie here? Yeah, Pedro Pascal, he shows up. He's looking for the wish stone or the dream stone. Here's his son. He's at work. He's a washed up businessman. He's not more of a con artist than anything else. Oh, doesn't help you guys. You're just seeing me here. All right, cool. Here we go. He's a washed-up businessman. He's not doing anything to help anyone else. Here's Diana Prince. Okay, this was confusing to me. She finds the receipt. Can somebody explain this to me? She finds the receipt inside of the box that had the Dreamstone in it. I was very confused by this. So, all right. So let's run through the series of events here, right? So somehow the FBI, I don't know why it was the FBI, but somehow the FBI got their hands on the Dreamstone. They put it in a box, and they shipped the box to the Smithsonian so that Kristen Wiig's character can analyze it and kind of figure out what is it, where does it come from, all that stuff. But in the box that also had the Dreamstone was this receipt with the words Max Lord, with his company Black Gold, and then the serial number and somebody signed for it. Why is this receipt in the box? Does this mean that it was taken from Maxwell Lord? Or was it going to Maxwell Lord? Like, how did this we know that Maxwell Lord throughout the movie, we know that he's been researching the Dreamstone. This right here is the clue for Wonder Woman to connect the dots, right? So it's the clue for Wonder Woman to connect the dots that Maxwell Lord and the Dreamstone are somehow connected. Now, I guess it could be that because this sequence takes place after Maxwell Lord stole the Dreamstone from Kristen Wiig's from Cheetah. I can't remember her name, Barbara something, whatever her last name is. After he stole or swindled the Dreamstone from Barbara at the Smithsonian, maybe he left a receipt. But why would he leave a receipt? Maybe this is a receipt that he left himself. What's the top of the receipt say? Something West Coast Division Future Installations, and then the address on it says New York, New York. So I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. Let's jump into the comment section and see if anybody has any insight here. Nora Colleen Fox says, let me jump to the end because Matthew Wiles just commented, ha ha ha, you can't remember Barbara's name. That's the whole joke of this movie. Well, there you go. Okay. So let's jump back up to Nora Colleen Fox. Nora says, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I am disturbed by what I have heard about the fact that they are basically co-opted this guy's body, use it as they will, and don't really give a thought for one person, for the person that they are taking over. So okay, she goes on, but what Nora is referring to is that when Wonder Woman is holding the Dreamstone and she makes a wish for Steve Trevor to come back, Steve Trevor's consciousness comes into some random guy's body. We don't know who this guy is. He's just some dude. And he kind of takes over this guy's body. And his life, essentially. Who is this guy? Where did he go? Is his spirit, is his soul still trapped inside the body, but only Steve Trevor's spirit or existence is like the forefront, like coming out? Like, where is this guy? So that is a thing. You are exactly right, Nora. She goes on to say, if the roles were reversed, I feel that wouldn't be overlooked. It does rather turn me off from wanting to see the movie. That's just a small aspect. It happens. They don't even address it. It is kind of a glaring thing that everyone's just kind of like, hello, you guys? But yeah, you're right. If the roles were reversed, if it was Wonder Woman who inhabited the body of somebody else, there might be more of a discussion about that. I don't know. I don't have an answer there, but it's a weird thing. Matthew Wiles, commenting on Nora's comment, says, it is eyebrow raising. You are correct. It is very eyebrow raising. I don't know. It's one of those things that happens. They don't ever address it, and then they kind of move on. If they do address it, it's much later in the movie. It's just a weird thing that happens. I don't know. Matthew Wiles says, I don't understand how Max Lord knew about the stone and how he ordered it because his name is on the receipt. Right? Max Lord had bought it off the black market, which was part of the mail robbery. Oh! So okay. Well, then why did the FBI care? Okay, so he researched it. But then again, you raise a great point. How did he know to research it? How did that happen? Okay, so we bought it off the black market, which is why his name and receipt were in the box. And then there was the mall robbery, which means that he couldn't get it. See, okay, so here's this whole, that's the whole thing of like, we spend so much time The movie spends so much time figuring out how Maxwell Lord cannot have the stone in his possession, as opposed to let's just get it in his hand. If it's going to happen anyway, let's get it in his hands and start the movie. Let's start the story of the movie. Instead of all of this run around, build up. Okay, that makes sense to me, but I don't like all the runaround. I don't like all the exposition of like, okay, well, we can't give it to him just yet because we need to explain what the Dreamstone is and why he has it and all that stuff. This makes much more sense to me. Nora says, right. But Diana is supposed to be this moral person, referring to, I believe, Steve Trevor coming out into this random dude's body. But Diana's supposed to be this moral person, and she doesn't even care, doesn't even think about it. Glaring discontinuity for me. And then she says, see, massive plot holes. Yes, this movie is full of plot holes. But yeah, you're right. She is supposed to be kind of like the moral compass, the moral guidance, of the movie, but also for society. If that was her whole thing in the first film, is that we need to do what's right. She spent her whole childhood on Themyscira learning these lessons. That was the whole point of the opening sequence. Sometimes you can't take the shortcut. Taking the shortcut does not mean that you're doing it right, or that you're, doing it right. I'm just trying to say the same thing over and over and over again in different ways. But yeah, you're right. Why take the shortcut? Okay, but whatever. She's this moral entity. She's a moral person, human, I guess. She's a moral Amazonian. And if she's supposed to be the beacon of light, the beacon of truth, long before Superman shows up, then why is she not putting that back into the world? You know, why is she staying hidden all this time? It also begs the question, why does she come out of hiding when the Justice League is formed? When the Justice League is formed, ta-da, Wonder Woman! She's one of the Justice League! Okay, but why did you just spend the past 80 years in hiding? 80 plus years in hiding. You went to extreme lengths to conceal your identity, and not just your identity. You went to extreme lengths to conceal the fact that you are a superhero, or rather, that a superhero even exists. There's rumors, there's whispers of it, but can't let anybody know that a superhero exists, right? And then the Justice League gets formed, and then, I'm Wonder Woman, whatever, right? Huge plot hole. Let's jump back into the movie, shall we? Okay, so thank you so much for Matthew for helping to explain this to me, because this whole receipt thing was totally lost on me. Let's see. So then we move in. Okay, so Maxwell Lord, he's stealing the Dreamstone. Oh, look at that. Oh, so Diana Prince finds the receipt at the same time that he's taking the Dreamstone. Okay, cool. So I take that back about the whole sequence of events happening before. And then here's Steve Trevor, and he shows up, and they fall in love again, and whatever. And yeah, so here he is. Well, there's Wonder Woman. But yeah, so there's Steve Trevor. Oh yeah, I still look like this other guy, and this is such a silly thing, but I love that they cast an actor who looks just like Chris Pine. And that's the guy that somehow magically gets chosen for Steve Trevor to jump inside the body of. Why can't they jump inside the body of the guy who looks like Richard Jewell, or a woman, or whoever? Like, it just so perfectly happens that Steve Trevor's consciousness pops into the body of a man who looks just like Steve Trevor. Thanks a lot. Coincidence. Again, like, it's a small thing. All right, so here's Maxwell Lord, and he's wishing to become the Time Stone, and then he becomes the Time Stone. Then he becomes the Dreamstone, and okay. So now Barbara wakes up and she's realizing, I've got superpowers, right? Wonder Woman spending and again, like, there's this incredible conceit for Diana Prince herself, right? Here's this guy who randomly shows up at a party and says, hey, I'm Steve Trevor. I don't know what's happening. It's been 66 years. I just woke up and now I'm here. And I was, before, the last thing I knew, I exploded in a plane crash in the sky, trying to save the day, right? And he did. And now he just kind of wakes up in some other dude's body. And how he found Wonder Woman at this party, how he knew she was going to be there, whatever, I don't know. He goes on. That is an interesting journey that I'd like to see. But now, like, she just kind of believes him in, like, the first 5 minutes of meeting him. I don't know. That's a huge ask. That is a huge ask. He has to prove himself, but he does it all within 5 minutes. I guess he said things that, like, I don't know. It's a thing that happens. And now she spends the night with him. Whatever. It's fine. Okay, here, Cheetah is learning her powers, developing her powers. Maxwell Lord is developing his powers. And, oh, look, I'm the Dreamstone, and I can make all my wishes come true. You work for me now, and I'm going to take everything from you. Ta-da! And it's just stuff that happens. This is time wasted telling plot. Living in this moment. Yeah, it's kind of fun to live in this moment and, rehash of like, what? Everybody in the future wears parachute pants? Oh, this is art. Oh, let's look at the trash can. Oh, well, that's just a trash can. Oh, that's just a trash can. Okay. I get it. Funny, haha moments, not moments that matter or that mean anything. Hey, let's go to the Airspace Museum. It's kind of a fun, interesting moment, and just to see the wonder on Steve Trevor's face when he realizes, wow, we went to outer space. Wow, we went to the moon. And again, none of this stuff matters. Hey, like it's just the sequence of things happening. I'm going to do this, and then this happens. I want this to happen, and then this happens. There's very little consequence, and this is why the movie is 2.5 hours long. It's because we spend so much time going through this. Diana Prince is starting to lose her powers, right? I don't understand what's happening. Let's break into a facility, in Maxwell Lord's facility, and find the answers. So this is part of the story that matters. This is an important part of the film, where she starts to figure this stuff out. Oh, man. Let's go to the comments for a second. Oh, here we are with the invisible jet. We'll get to that in a second. Okay. So Matthew Weil says, she didn't hide. She was cruising. She didn't hide. She was cruising the mall looking for petty theft. A closed montage. Hooray! Wonder Woman, go hit someone. Yeah, I mean, again, with the opening sequence, like, she's just kind of like hanging out looking for petty theft. I mean, maybe that's what she does. I don't know. The invisible jet sequence, I thought it was kind of fun. It didn't mean anything. It didn't add anything to the movie. It was kind of a fun, interesting sequence of, oh, here they are, and Deus Ex Machina as to how Wonder Woman can hide the jet invisibly. Okay. Doesn't mean anything. There's no consequence here. They get to have this fun moment. When does this moment start, by the way? This whole sequence starts around the 1 hour 7 mark and goes until, here's fireworks. They're still in the jet. So yeah, about 113, 114, somewhere through there. Yeah. So about, let's just say 6 minutes. 6 minutes of the movie is just spent on having kind of a interesting moment. I don't know. Is it necessary? No. Oh, yeah. And then Maxwell Lord goes to the Middle East and bargains with his oil baron, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I already sold the oil." Oh man, this sequence was it was kind of fun, kind of interesting. It had no, there was no reason for it to take place where it did and when it did. The whole movie, 1984. What was the purpose of it happening in 1984? You guys, I'm spending so much time like scrubbing through this movie. Let's scrub away. Let's get deeper into it. The whole battle with Cheetah, I thought was kind of fun in the White House. How did Wonder Woman get inside the White House? I mean, that was a whole thing that happened, right? The whole world is turning crazy. I enjoyed the sequence. It was a fun action sequence. It was. Not a lot of consequence came out of it. Oh man. Maxwell Lord taking over everything. Diana, you need to forget about me. I can't forget about you. She renounces her wish. Maybe that's character development. I don't know. Is this the scene where she starts? No. Oh, that's right. She learns how to fly. Why? Because she needs to learn how to fly, I guess. So if she learns how to fly in this movie, how come she can't fly in Justice League? How come she can't fly in Batman versus Superman? How come she can't fly at the end of the first Wonder Woman movie? Do you remember when she jumps off the roof and I don't know, maybe that is her flying. I don't know. I guess there is a case to be made for that. Okay, I wish everybody makes these ridiculous wishes. Okay, here's an interesting thing. If somebody wishes for a loved one to be brought back to life, if someone wishes for something that is truly good, this whole idea of wishing for whatever you want implies that everyone is selfish. It implies that everyone is selfish. If you had a loved one pass away, heaven forbid, from COVID, and you wish for them to come back to life, maybe this is an insensitive topic to be talking about. And if it is, my apologies. But it's also kind of an important one in terms of the philosophy of the movie. If you wish for a truly righteous thing, should you be forced to renounce your wish? If it's not a selfish thing, if you wish to help someone else, if you wish for someone else's scenario to their burdens to be made light, if you wish for enlightenment, if you wish to be a better person, is that a selfish thing? Is that a selfish act? If you are wishing for certain things, about who you are, or maybe your situation or your position, to help improve situations for other people, or if you just wish for better situations for other people, and it's a truly selfless act, do you need to now renounce those wishes? I don't know. This whole thing is crazy. Let's jump back. I feel like this open spoiler discussion is going on way too long. We're nearing the hour mark, you guys. We're going to have to wrap this up soon. Nora says, I don't believe a man who lived 66 years before would immediately gravitate towards a fanny pack, and no one will convince me otherwise. You are correct, Nora. You are correct. Matthew Weil says, when Wonder Woman started losing her powers, I thought, interesting. Is it linked to what Barbara wished for? That would be cool. Barbara can't cheat to powers, and Wonder Woman needs to find her power. But no, it's linked to a stranger. Yep, it totally is. That would have been an interesting connection to just connect them that much deeper towards each other, but it didn't. Matthew Weil says, can we take a minute to recognize the First World War veteran can fly a jet The first World War veteran can fly a jet which was fully fueled in a museum, had had seats side by side. Yeah, think about that for a second. Steve Trevor, okay, he touts himself as like, if it can fly, I can pilot it. That's not exactly how being a pilot works. Being a person who works in the flight industry, even though I'm not a pilot, I am a flight attendant and I'm around a lot of pilots. If you are a pilot on a 737, you need to learn how to fly a 757, and then you need to relearn how to fly a 767 or a 777 or a 787. Even though they're all Boeing airplanes, even though they're all Boeing jets, they all operate very differently, and you need to learn how to do it and then get qualified to learn how to do it. Think about this for a second. A man who was a fighter pilot during World War I, the types of airplanes that they had during World War I, over the course of 66 years, those airplanes are significantly different. And let's just go ahead and say it's the same kind of aircraft that existed in World War I. I mean, it is the Smithsonian Museum, whatever. Let's just go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. It does not look the same. The way that all the gears and switches and everything operated inside of that particular jet operated very, very differently from what the World War I aircraft does. Anyway, nitpick. That's a nitpick, and I understand that. But yes, the fact that if this is a World War I relic airplane, I don't think that there were two seats side by side. I may be mistaken, but yes, again, that there is a relic World War I airplane, fully fueled, ready to go. You know, batteries, atomic power. Was it the Batman quote? Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed, right? All ready to go? I highly doubt that. Referring to that, Nora says, Matthew Wiles, if you can fly one jet, you can fly them all. Duh. To which Matthew says, silly me. It's true. Matthew Wiles, the fight with Cheetah is so lame, it's hard to see and about 5 minutes long. We've waited the entire film for this. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into that for a second. Let's fast forward. Is this the scene? This is the sequence here? I believe this is the sequence here. Oh yeah, and then she like drowns her underwater? What's that? Like, come on. No, come on. This whole sequence, the CGI looks dumb. The CGI of Cheetah looks really bad, first and foremost. And this sequence doesn't mean anything. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't playing it for you guys. Okay, here we go. I was playing it for me, but I wasn't playing it for you guys. Okay, here we go. This sequence doesn't mean anything. They just have a battle. They have a fight. Here we go. They're fighting, whatever. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Cheetah's CGI looks really bad, first and foremost. It doesn't mean anything in the movie for her to, for Barbara to change into Cheetah. It doesn't mean anything. Has no significance at all. It would have been a stronger ending. Do you remember what I said earlier about the first Wonder Woman? It would have been a stronger ending had Ares not actually physically appeared, had it just been more conceptual. And then you end in a post-credits tease where Ares kind of pops up, rears his head, and says, I'm coming for you, Wonder Woman, or whatever line you want to use there. That would have been a much stronger ending. It would have been more conceptual than physical, and I like that idea. Same thing with this. If Barbara was not fully realized as the Cheetah, and then in a post-credits scene, she's looking at kind of like she's strolling through the Smithsonian Museum and happens upon kind of like a cheetah, like stuffed cheetah all spread out, and she walks up and says, "Now that is an apex predator." That would have been great. That would have been perfect. And then the next film, we could set up this whole kind of thing of like how she becomes like a cheetah, like weird, like who does that? How, like maybe her wish stone or whatever. However you want to play that, that would have been a stronger ending. I loved how she looked. And let me go back to the White House battle. Where was this White House battle at? It was a really great sequence. Here we go. here we go. This version of Barbara, looked so much better and so much cooler than the CGI Barbara that we got. This is, I feel like this is the version of her that we should have seen in like the big battle, right? It just, I don't know. The CGI part doesn't work for me. Yeah, and that whole fight sequence, it only lasted like less than 5 minutes. And it didn't go anywhere. It had no significance. Why even put it in at all? Why change? Why go through the effort just because that's what Cheetah's supposed to look like? You need to shoehorn it in? No. Nora says, any wish is intrinsically selfish, as you will derive some sort of good feelings from it. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think it begs the question that is a wish intrinsically selfish? I don't think that's always the case. Maybe it is. I don't know. Matthew Weil says, the selfless wishes all had consequences through the money hand thing. Though the money hand thing. I don't understand. What does that mean? What is the money hand thing? Matthew, what is the money hand thing? Please explain this to me. He goes on to say, Justice League is Oscar worthy compared to this movie, and I'll leave it there. LOL. That's not a bad, and you know what? That's not a bad ending spot. We all know how the movie ends. It ends with, Wonder Woman pleading to Maxwell Lord, renounce your wish. He renounces his wish. He goes off. He looks for his kid. Where are we? Here we go. I don't know. This whole thing just. Oh dear. Well, that's quite an interesting spot to jump into. Here's Maxwell Lord. Oh man, this whole thing. I don't know. We could tear this whole thing apart even more. I feel like we've spent way too much time on this already. Let's jump to the yeah, here we go. And so now somehow magically it's Christmas time. How? I don't know, because it is. So that, you guys, there's the movie Wonder Woman 1984. There's a lot of problems with this film. The tone, the theme, like what are the themes? There are no themes here. There's a lot to this movie that doesn't add up. It's not that I don't like the movie. I kind of had fun. And that's the thing. Like, we're sitting here, we're picking this whole thing apart. I kind of had fun in this movie. Although not a good movie, there were some interesting, some fun aspects of it. Am I chomping at the bit to see it again? No. Which I think is kind of a testament to the first Wonder Woman movie. I've never seen any. Let me say this: I saw the first Wonder Woman movie in theaters 4 times. I've never seen any other film more than that in theaters. The first Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman 1918, I guess is what we can affectionately refer to it. So I saw Wonder Woman 1918 in theaters 4 times, more than any other film that I've ever seen in theaters. It was truly a great movie. Not a great ending. I feel that it still had a better ending. But yeah, I don't need to see this in theaters again. I wasn't riveted. This didn't have the impact or meaning to me. There was, like, Wonder Woman had no life learning lesson. I guess she learned to not be selfish. I guess for the greater good. Just because she performed a selfless act of renouncing her wish, does that mean she learned her lesson? I mean, it seems to me that she would still almost do anything to get Steve Trevor back. I don't know how that's going to work. Oh, Matthew Wiles. Okay, you said a monkey hand. Okay. Before when you said money hand, you were talking about the monkey hand. Yes. The selfless wishes all had consequences through the monkey hand thing. Yes, correct. I mean, yeah. So if I don't know how that would work. If you perform a selfless thing, a selfless wish, do you also get a selfless? I don't know how I'm trying to say this. I don't know how I'm trying to say this, you guys. I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Anyway, William Zimmerly. William, how you doing, man? William Zimmerly says, Wonder Woman is a god who killed another god. Is Cheetah a god too? Or did they set the bar too high in Wonder Woman? So now we just have to ignore her godhood and accept that fighting a mortal makes her not allowed to kill her. So is it hard to be a god and fight mortals? Let me read this again. Wonder Woman is a god who killed another god. Yeah, so in the first movie, she killed Ares, who is a Greek god. Is Cheetah a god too? No. Cheetah, I kind of look at it as though because Cheetah's wish was to be like Diana Prince. And if to be like Diana Prince, that means you are imbued with the same power as Diana Prince. She's not a god, but she has the same power. Because again, it begs the question, what is a god? A god or a demigod? I believe that like in Greek mythology, two gods can come together and have a baby, and that baby now becomes a god. Or if you're a human and a god, and you come together and have a baby, that becomes a demigod, right? So Cheetah is not a god. She's not a demigod. She just magically got imbued with the powers of Diana Prince, right? So she's not a god. You go on. So in your comment, you said, or did they set the bar too high in Wonder Woman so that now we just have to ignore her godhood and accept that fighting a mortal makes her not allowed to kill her? So is it hard to kill a god? Is it hard to be a god and to fight mortals? I think that's no. The answer is no, because Diana's wish. See, the thing with the Dreamstone is that anytime that you make a wish, you give something up. You give a part of you up. So the part of her that was given, it's the thing that you value most. And the thing that Wonder Woman values most is her strength. It kind of begs the question, like, why is that the thing that you value most? But okay, whatever. But also, her strength starts to dwindle. And here's another plot hole of the movie. If the thing that you value most, like, gets taken from you, not all of her power was taken from her. She was still kind of wonderful. You know, she could still do some awesome stuff. But she wasn't completely powerless, which defeats the whole point of having the thing that you love most taken from you. Yeah, she wasn't anywhere near as strong as she used to be. Yeah. So when her power was reduced and now Cheetah was imbued with her full power, see, it would have been cool had the roles been switched. Had, as Matthew pointed out earlier, if the reason that Diana Prince lost her powers was because they all went to Cheetah, I think that would have been a stronger theme, a stronger moral, so that when she gives up her wish, she gets all of her powers back. Make her completely powerless in terms of like godhood, right? Like godlike power. I think that would have been a stronger thing there. Yeah, I don't know. Just my thoughts there. But yeah, again, with the whole monkey paw thing, whatever you wish for, your most valuable, the thing that you deem to be most valuable in your life gets taken from you. So it's always kind of a this for that kind of a thing. Anyway, guys, I mean, I know we could spend more time just pulling this movie apart and like talking about the things that we love, the things that we, and that raises a great point, because there are some fun, interesting, valuable, and redeeming things from this movie. First and foremost, the opening sequence. I think it's the most valuable part of Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman 84. I've been talking a long time. I think the opening sequence is the best part of the movie, hands down. When we go to the second opening sequence in the mall, it doesn't mean anything, has no consequence. I mean, yeah, I guess there's the idea that, oh, well, without them stealing the stuff. And again, like, how did these street level crooks find out, like, why is this whole thing so valuable? Why was it in a shopping mall? Why did it go to an antique store in a shopping mall? Why did they steal from the antique store? Like, what did they think they were getting with this stone? I don't know, whatever. But that whole sequence was ridiculously cheesy. It was fun, but it was ridiculously cheesy. The rest of the movie became kind of serious again. It didn't stay in that 1980s cheese. And I feel like the movie could have benefited from... Okay, let's go to Cobra Kai for a second. I'm not going to delve into all the stuff about Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is ridiculously cheesy, but it also benefits the show. Again, no spoilers for Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is cheesy, and it knows that it's cheesy, and it plays into that cheesiness. It knows exactly what it is, and it knows how to benefit from its cheesiness. Wonder Woman tried to do that in the opening sequence, and then it just dropped it. It said, this is what we're doing. Nah, let's do something else, right? And it totally lost the cheese. There were a couple of cheesy things that happened throughout the movie, but I think had they clung to that idea of silly, whimsical fun, this movie could have been awesome. Of course, the script needed to be, changed. The story needed to be changed a little bit, but this movie really could have benefited from that whimsical, cheesy fun, and it just didn't do that on any level. We have another comment coming in from William Zimmerly. He says, it was fun enough to stand on its own without other movies. If I didn't see Wonder Woman, I'm just going to refer to it, Wonder Woman 1918. If I didn't see Wonder Woman 1918, would Wonder Woman 1984 work as a single standalone movie? Would it work as a single I mean, like, there are things about Wonder Woman 1918 that find their way into 84, specifically Steve Trevor. None of the emotion from Wonder Woman 84 would mean anything if it weren't for the first film. So, I mean, obviously, if, again, like, hypothetical situation, if 1918 didn't happen, if that movie didn't exist, then they wouldn't put Steve Trevor in this movie. Or if they did, he would be introduced in a very different way, in a modern context, right? So all of that would have changed. And if that changed, what's the point of Diana Prince having a wish or making a wish? And if Wonder Woman doesn't make a wish, does that make her a better person for seeing temptation? And that's the thing. She wasn't tempted to make a wish. It was this stupid stone at the time. It was this stupid stone that she held in her hands and just kind of said, like, oh, well, it's supposed to make wishes come true. Oh, man, I really wish that Steve Trevor was here. If she actually knew that the wish stone, or the dream stone, wish stone, whatever, that the dream stone brought your wishes, if made your wishes come true, if she actually understood that, I don't think she would have made the wish, because she would have understood that there are consequences. What is going to be taken from me? Maybe she would, and maybe that's what would make that a selfish wish. I mean, we wish for things all the time. I wish I had $1 million. I wish that I had a penthouse suite here in Manhattan. I wish that I wouldn't have to work my flight attendant job just to make a living. I wish I could make this show my full-time. Like we all have. I wish my father was still alive. I wish. I wish for things all day long. And just because it's something that I would kind of like to have happen doesn't make that intrinsically a selfish thing. We need to work for things. We like that's the interesting thing that makes this world go round is that we have to work at our wishes. If we want something to happen, if we want something to come true, if I want this show to be my full-time job, I have got to put in the effort and put in the work. But it's still a wish. It's still something that I want to happen. It doesn't make it selfish. That I want this show to be my full-time job. It just means that I have to work for it. Wanting something to happen without putting in the work to make it happen, maybe that's selfish, but again, not necessarily always. I don't know. It's a weird philosophical thing. There are no answers. Anyway, guys, I feel like this is a good stopping point. We've kind of pulled this movie apart. We've gone through, we've scrubbed through, we've kind of talked about how like there's a lot about this movie that doesn't work. This movie also has some redeeming value to it. But what are your thoughts? I want you to jump down to the comment section below. Leave me a few comments as to what your thoughts about Wonder Woman 1984 are. Like I said, there's a lot that doesn't work. There's a lot that doesn't add up. Would this movie work as a standalone film if the first film didn't exist? I would argue no, because again, our audiences have come to expect good storytelling, good character development. There was no character development here. There was some character development for Cheetah. There was some. When Cheetah realized that she could be selfish and have anything that she wanted, that is what made her kind of a not so nice person. That's what made her a villain. And I think that's an interesting concept to explore. They didn't delve into it anywhere near enough as what they did. I also think that this movie suffers from the too many villains aspect. There are Avengers shows that you can have multiple characters, multiple villains, and it still works. But I also feel like Marvel has kind of cracked the code on that. They know how to make it work. They know how to do it. And everybody wants to shoehorn many characters and many villains into their films, but they don't manage their time correctly. They don't tell the story the way the story needs to be told in order to achieve maximum effect, right? Yeah. I really wanted to love this movie. In fact, I thought I was going to love this. What isn't to love? Wonder Woman, the 80s. I mean, when I saw in the trailer her kind of using her lasso of truth to swing, kind of rope swing on lightning, that looks awesome. That looks so cool. The way it played out in the movie wasn't as fun. It was way better in the trailer. I don't know. Like, this is a far inferior film to the first one. Supremely inferior. It's not, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. It's just not a good movie. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to end it. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a good movie. It's okay. It's fine. There's some redeeming aspects to it. It's not a complete pile of garbage. And I think that is what is so disappointing about Wonder Woman 84 is that the first film was so good. The first film was so good. It incorporated so many elements from the comics and themes from the comics and what it means to be not ignorant, but innocent. What it kind of means to be innocent and naive a little bit and for those qualities not necessarily to be negative. Like, those can be your strengths. Not necessarily being naive. I don't want to say that being naive is a strength, but using your assumptions about the world in a naive way to bring about good and positive change is kind of a strong theme. I think that's kind of cool. Having her heart. Wonder Woman's femininity in the first film meant so much. And her femininity played a huge role in the first movie. Her femininity didn't mean anything in the second movie. It was just, oh, here's X superhero. Put her in here. What is it about Wonder Woman that makes her interesting? What is it about Wonder Woman that makes her connect, or rather that the audience can connect with? She's not just another superhero. She is Wonder Woman. Her femininity is so intrinsically tied to her character, obviously. And, everything that I'm saying is like, well, yeah, duh. But none of that made a difference in this movie. None of that was even referenced in this movie. She was just X superhero. Insert superhero here. This movie so easily could have been a Flash movie. This movie so easily could have been a Cyborg movie. This movie so easily could have been a Green Lantern or, I don't know, a Martian Manhunter movie. A Green Arrow kind of movie. This movie, the themes of this movie had nothing to do with Wonder Woman. It kind of didn't. Aaron Scott is now joining the conversation. Aaron Scott says, agreed. It is a far inferior film to the first Wonder Woman. This may be the second worst comic book movie I've ever seen. First place goes to Aquaman. Interesting. You think the best comic book movie you've ever seen is Aquaman? Interesting. I disagree with you, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. I feel like the best comic book movie ever made is The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan, 2008. That movie is just spectacular. Oh, I love it so much. A lot of people say Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire is also one of the best comic book movies ever made. X-Men 2, there's a little discussion there. The first Avengers. The first Avengers might be, I don't know, it might be my second pick for best comic book movie ever made. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman film, that is also a strong contender. That might be I don't know. It's up there. It ranks up there. Top 3. Knee-jerk reaction, I'm going to say, The Dark Knight, then Avengers, the first Avengers, and then Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman. That's gonna be my ranking there as a knee-jerk reaction. Aaron Scott says, first Wonder Woman for me ranks in top 7 or 8 comic book movies. Interesting. I put it at number 3. You put it at 7 or 8. Interesting. Then you say no worst. Okay. I'm sorry. For whatever reason, I got that confused. You're saying Aquaman is the worst comic book movie ever made. Oh, I completely disagree with you on that. Again, all film is subjective. I believe that title of worst comic book film ever made goes to Catwoman with Halle Berry. Again, all film is subjective. My second pick for worst comic book movie ever made is probably going to be X-Men Origins Wolverine. Oh, that movie's so bad. Aaron Scott says, yes, best is Dark Knight or Batman Begins. Nora chimes in and says Dark Knight for sure. Aaron Scott saying, meaning Aquaman is worse. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. No, that was my bad. I was mistaken. I don't know. I got my wires crossed there a little bit, but yeah. I wouldn't say that Wonder Woman 84 is the second worst comic book movie ever made. I would put it smack dab right in the middle of all the comic book movies that have ever been made. I would put this right smack dab in the middle. I would put this just below Captain Marvel. Maybe the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I'll put it below Captain Marvel. I don't know. Nora says, yeah, Origins was nigh unwatchable. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a complete train wreck. That is a complete train wreck from start to finish. Oh, that movie's so bad. Oh, I hate that so much. Anyway, guys, yeah, so we've been kind of going for, what is this, an hour and 25. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I think this is a good place to wrap it up. What are your thoughts? Jump down to the comment section below. Let me know what those are. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Thanks so much for your comments and your insights and just, creating the online movie community. Normally with this show, I try to have a whole bunch of different news articles. I know a lot of people have been asking me for my thoughts on Wonder Woman. This past hour and a half has been all over the place. My thoughts were very disjointed and not very coherent. My apologies for that. But hey, is what it is. All right, guys. So that is going to be it for me. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Diana Prince Wonder Woman would want you to do. Dun 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 dun. Boo! Anyway, guys, I'm Mike Brown. This is Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being part of the conversation. We live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions. Sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to speak kind words to each other, to infuse a little bit of kindness in the world, please take that opportunity. And as always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I'll see you guys tomorrow.